Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bridge of Love. My name is Erin Cameron. I'm really happy you're here today, and we're going to talk about self love and the physical body. This is one of my favorite topics. As you can imagine, being Hadden's mom has always been a physically focused undertaking for me, since that is her where her most of her limitations are focused is physically, at least what we see as limitation. And luckily for both of us, I love a physically focused undertaking. So I was, you know, the kid who won the chin up contest at my gymnastics gym when I was 7. And my coach B, nicknamed me Hercules. I remember we had this certain amount of time to finish, like however many push chin-ups we could get in that minute or two, and I don't remember how many I did, but they had to like pull me down off the bar. So this is just me, and it's always been me, and why part of why I uh, love this topic, and I could probably do several episodes on it. But today we'll I'll give you a little background, and then I also have a channeled message that I got from Hadden almost a year ago, I think, or earlier this year, and it just absolutely changed things for me, and really she dropped some bombs. So we will get to that at the end. And but I'll focus on a few things, including the connection of our physical body to our entire being. So, of course, we're going to make this the spiritual focus. But I love how those things are and have connected for me. Um, so, continuing on with background of Erin, as a kid, I lived for PE. I planned my outfits for what I was going to wear every day according to what we were doing in PE. I had one of my favorite things we did were these chariot races. We would line the walls of the gym with those big pads, like the floor mats, and uh, basically hurl each other around the gym, pulling each other on these like tiny crates, um, and racing around. There were our chariot races, and whatever I could do, it was, always a competition. Um, Definitely one of the safest, activities, I'm sure, that was created in the 80s, maybe 70s, I don't know. But we were doing it in the 80s. And I remember also this like President Reagan had this presidential fitness test. And that thing, like every like elementary kid had to do it. I don't know if you guys remember. That thing was like a warm up for me. It was like, mile run and pull ups and push ups. And I was like, okay, what else? Right. And it was just another chance for me to compete, even though I had no idea who I was competing against. And in general, during my school years, I remember being annoyed anytime the girls' requirements for a certain activity were different from the boys, because my competitiveness did not discriminate. I wanted to be included in all of it. Um, and, like an example that comes to me was like hanging from the monkey bars as a static hang instead of doing pull-ups. That's what we had given to us. So like girls didn't have to do pull-ups. It's like, you guys just see how long you can hang there. So I was certain the boys were benefiting from these differences in requirements, and I don't know, maybe at least their egos were, because I wasn't included in the category with them. And yeah, um, I remember this fundraiser we had, it was like those jogathons where you get a certain amount of money raised, your neighbors or whoever will give you like $1 per lap and I'm going around the track. I'm like in 5th grade or something, probably not even that. And I'm running around the track, and this mom had to stop me because my face was so red. She was worried something was like medically wrong with me. And I remember being so annoyed. Like I was trying to explain to her that I was fine, and knowing that you know, I knew inside that every second was precious. Like I was competing. I was definitely going to win that jogathon. I was definitely beating all the other kids. This is the stuff that was going through my head. Like it was just fun for me. If there was a race happening, I was there. It was just what was fun for me. And these stories are endless. I could include more, but and they extended into innumerable races and competitions made up between me and my siblings, every kid in the neighborhood, and sometimes even my parents. Um, and this has to be genetic. My mom told me one time that the only sport they had for girls in her high school was cheerleading. So, of course, she became head cheerleader. I love that story. It made sense to me. I was like, yeah, if that's all you can do, so that's, I kind of always thought I maybe got my competitive spirit from my dad. And after a while, I realized definitely a lot from my mom. And, um, we even one time challenged my parents to do like cartwheels in the living room. And they're like, they've got to be like in their mid 40s at this point. They never did cartwheels, by then. And they did it because we challenged them. And they could hardly walk for like a week because had been doing cartwheels. They were like, we're doing this. So yeah, it's genetic. Um, so I didn't make it into college sports. I tore my ACL for the second time when I got to the University of Oklahoma. I went out to my first practice, which was with their then like club level team. Yeah, that they had a club level soccer team, girls soccer team, women's soccer. And the next year it would become Division 1. So I thought, okay, I'll just walk onto their club team and then play Division 1. And I had torn my ACL already in high school at my last, of course, high school game. And that kind of injury takes, 9 months or so to recover from. So as soon as I did, I was then in college, and I went out and won practice at OU, and I crossed the ball. And that cutback, I tore my ACL the second time, and that was that. And after that, I just thought, well, now I just want to be able to walk, because that's the second time I injured the same knee. So, and those are big injuries. So that was it for sports for me in terms of, being a competitive athlete. And so I moved on to other competitive pursuits that probably involved drinking beer because I was in college. I was still very active, often annoying my roommates, I'm sure, when I got up early for the first of my 2 runs for the day. I don't know who does 2-a-days in college when they don't have a scholarship, but I did. It's all I ever knew. So I kind of had a giant hole in my life. I was like, well, I got to keep moving. And um, after college, I played in a recreational women's soccer league, which absolutely kept me from doing less healthy things to balance the stress of grad school. I also love going to this hip hop dance class that one of my girlfriends on the team took us all to. Certainly because she was so good at it, and we were all pretty terrible, but it was so much fun. I still remember it, and it's probably the only thing I've ever done that didn't like I couldn't compete, and we just had a blast. Um, and so after grad school, I moved on and did triathlons, tries, because I ended up really wanting to do something more than running and not, tear my body up so much. And I did those for about 12 years. I also kept playing soccer after I became a mom, and a local team needed a goalkeeper, which I had done when I was 9, so made perfect sense that I was the goalkeeper. um, Obvious choice, right? Yeah, the girl that was a goalkeeper when she was 9. And did that until one game I punted the ball and threw my back out for the first time ever. And that's what happens when you're 30 years old on a adult soccer league. So my adventures in chiropractic began at that point, I'm sure. Once I had, I played a little bit even after I had Hadden, but eventually kind of got out of that. I did and have always, I put Hadden in a jogger, and as soon as I could, she was like 6 months old, and put her in a baby jogger, and I still run with her to this day in a jogging chair called Hoyt. They're made by Hoyt, Hoyt. They're amazing, adult size, and they have the big wheels, so it rolls really easily, and she loves it as much as I do. I never imagined I'd be pushing a, 16, 17-year-old kid in a jogger. I thought that would end, but as long as we're on a flat, I can do it still. And every once in a while, I push her up our crazy hill. But definitely not running so much then. So you get it, right? I love a physical challenge. That's just who I am. But as Hadden's mom and, her caregiver, a caregiver to a disabled child, even I got pushed to my physical limits. I didn't sleep through the night for at least 3 years. And she was probably 5 years old before her nights became anything close to normal, for even a few nights a week, right? Sleep has always been, until recently, that's been a big piece that added to the challenge. And I'm sure if you're a caregiver of any sort that, especially a young child that needs you and can't move themselves, you know what I'm talking about. And I have great respect for anyone that's doing that. And I always, you know, as I'm still doing triathlons and whatever I can, competitively, I always said that the tries, my races should have had a sleepless moms category. I could have definitely created that just for me. And, funny enough, Hadden could feel my nerves the night before a race usually, and she would be up even more than normal. So luckily for both of us, she sleeps like a teenager these days. And I think she probably knew on a soul level that I wouldn't make it much longer otherwise. So she does great now, and that's been greatly improved. um, so yeah, this topic is close to my heart because it's naturally what I find to be fun and interesting, and where I gravitate, even in the spiritual sense. So today we're going to connect those two, and I hope you find it helpful. Connecting the physical body to the spiritual side of you, the non-physical part of you. I just find that fascinating. When I worked in science, or even did it academically, I very quickly saw this sort of gap between what the work that was being done and the people that were possibly going to benefit from it, like lay people. Um, and I was always interested in making it applicable and understandable to everyone, not just the academic minds that created the research, right? Um, and I feel that same way about spirituality. Like as I came into it, I could see like, wow, this really isn't that complicated, and I would love to make it more accessible. I can see how that is where it's evolving to. And as we all become more aware of uh, this part of ourselves and how it can help us in our everyday life, that to me is, I think that's happening, and I love being a part of that. So I love highlighting how simple all this stuff really is, how it just is who we are. It's our essence. And, you know, to me, there's nothing out there about it. Especially the further along I get into it, it just is, who we are. And in my mind, how I approach spirituality is that it is a very straightforward, everyday practice. And it's a part of who I am and who I came into being. Um, and I can't think of my point here is I can't think of a better way to highlight this than talking about the physical body on my spiritual podcast, right? So thanks for listening. Um, and as I said, this topic holds a lot of significance for me because of my personal background, but also because of my experience as Hadden's mom. Has been a very physical job. Um, but this podcast is about my journey. So my journey from, in this case, the physical body being simply an outlet for fun and competition, that journey through that, and then through the sometimes grueling physical challenge of being a special needs mom, and ultimately into a more balanced, healthy me, and how that has all kind of evolved for me. And look, I'm so glad it has, because I could only go so far pushing myself to my physical limits, because all of this is connected, right? Your sanity is connected to your physical body in good ways. And then if you push it too far, that can cost you, right? Even in your mental and emotional state. So we all know that, right? So for me, being, spirituality and the physical body have been a highly intertwined thing. And as I was beginning to go more intentionally down a spiritual path, one of the first things I had to deal with was my body. And the reason for this is because of that connection of the physical body to the entire being, or the soul. For me, I connected most readily to my spiritual connection through my body. That's just the way I am, I guess. And that worked well for me. So, for example, I'd do things like a sauna and a cold plunge, and then use that time directly after to channel or go into a channeled meditation. And I was as chilled out as I could possibly get. Like, that was like the things I had to do physically to myself to get myself into that meditative state and get, my mind out of the way. So in the beginning, I spent months focusing on things that would calm my central nervous system. And I think this can be a really important first step for anyone to focus there and say, where do I exist really? What's my baseline for my central nervous system? And mine was all over the place because I wasn't listening. I wasn't paying attention. I was just pushing myself. And then physically, and then it it snowballs into other mental and emotional effects, right? So all of these practices like a sauna, a cold plunge, they help me get my mind out of the way, which I found really helpful, especially when I first started channeling. I don't really need them as much anymore because I've integrated stuff like that throughout. And I also just kind of got to a point where I don't need it to raise my vibration. But those things also made me feel better, which brought me into a higher vibration. And this was essential to reaching the higher levels of consciousness. So I use things like an EMF mat, electromagnetic frequency. I think it's called pulsating EMF, and big fan of that. It kind of creates an electromagnetic field around you that would mimic like a grounding experience, like sitting outside, or the EMF, the magnetic field of the earth. You can mimic that with certain tech toys. They exist. That was a big one for me. And a red light. Red lights increase the cellular energy, your energy on a cellular level. So you're producing more from a cellular level. And I think they do amazing things when they're used correctly and consistently. I used to do float tanks, sort of that weightless sensation, and they also had a bunch of Epsom salts in them, so super relaxing and detoxifying. Big fan of any kind of like detoxifying bath, mineral salts, that kind of thing. Mud baths, mineral water, ionized water, drinking ionized water. Electrolytes are huge for me. Sunshine, just going through all my, these are all my things that I use and used and still use some of them. Sunshine, the sun is huge for me. Sunbathing doesn't take much, just being out in the sun is so helpful. Walking barefoot by the ocean, any form of grounding, hiking in the redwoods, being within the trees, nature, really, any form of nature, super, super healing and balancing. Running, biking, not running and biking some days, Pilates, just breathing, stopping to breathe. And recently I've been focusing more on what I eat with regard to like brain and gut health. I think that's a nice area to focus on if your energy is still feeling a little wacky, even when you're focusing on all the physical stuff. So what are you putting in your body? And that's kind of, so yeah, that's a little rundown of all the stuff that I use, but it's not necessarily about that. It's just to say that, I'm not here to say these are the things you need to do. Whatever you want to do is perfect for you. Just giving you examples that there are things that once you tune in and ask your body what it really needs, what would feel good, those things will come to you. You'll run into, it will just pop into your reality. Like a friend will say, "Ooh, do you want to go do a cold plunge with me?" And you're like, "What the heck is that?" I sometimes think that's like a divine orchestration. When you start asking for these things, they do show up in your life in whatever way. And, maybe somebody teaches you a sport that you never tried, or an outdoor activity that, teaches you to play golf, or something that you end up loving. I think just stay open, tune into your body, ask it what it needs, and you shall receive. I think even things like supplements and stuff come into your reality when you might need them most. And sometimes it's through another person kind of suggesting those things. I find that those aren't by accident. So pay attention. That's probably my best advice. It doesn't really matter what the thing is. If it feels right to your body, even if it's something as simple as taking a nap, if it feels right, you're doing the right thing. So just listening to your body. And those are all the things that I used when I listened to my body, finally, after, 45 years. Although it hadn't really been that long. I would say just my parenting journey, that 13 to 15 years, I was like, okay, hitting the wall. I really need to do something differently, or else this is just always going to be a strain, right? And now it's not. And it's amazing. Your body is here along with you on this journey. And if you listen to it, it will serve you. I promise. So where does this whole self-love come into the picture? It's such an important thing. I think for me, it started very simply with this one point. Your thoughts affect your body. How does this work? Words and thoughts are energy. They carry energy. Every thought that, you have, every word that you speak, there is an energy that it carries. And this energy resides within your body, within your cells even. And here's the awesome part about this, is that you have power over them, over your thoughts, over your words. What you say to yourself when you look in the mirror, for example, or any point during the day. This is probably pretty common, knowledge, but what does your self-talk sound like? I wasn't really aware of that for many years. And it was just it was what it was. And I wasn't listening to it, and didn't realize how critical it was. And this took me a while to really catch on, because it was such a habit for me to be like, okay, I look great, but I'd look better if this part of me looked like this, or, instead of really just tuning into how I felt and appreciating that, and then, saying nicer things to myself and thinking nicer things about our bodies, right? My point is, this is really powerful, and your body listens because on an energetic level, your consciousness is connected to your cells. It's all connected. So you have so much power here, to even heal yourself from things. So I eventually, once I was able to tune into these thoughts and these things that I was unknowingly saying, subconsciously almost, I eventually got to this point where I could send love to my own body. Loving thoughts instead of critical ones is really the simplest way to put this, but also just consciously loving and appreciating my body for what it's been through with me. And when I did that, the critical thoughts eventually disappeared. So you can you don't have to, catch them all necessarily. They will eventually kind of dissipate as you focus on a more positive output, with regard to yourself. And so all of this is to say that the body is a gateway to raising your vibration. And this is a two-way street. So if you raise your vibration with the thoughts you're thinking and the emotions you're feeling, your body responds. So does that make sense? I love that. You can raise your vibration by affecting what you're doing physically, right? Getting out in the sunshine, listening to your body. What do you want right now? Do you want to just sit and breathe? 5 minutes of that, right? Miraculous things can happen. But then also, so that raises your vibration, but you can also go the other way, where if you're just consciously tuning into raising your vibration with positive thoughts and emotions, and, that then has an effect on your physical body. So I love that. And I really wanted to focus on that today. As well as we'll get into, the physical body with regard to kids like Hadden, and that is a lot in her channeled message. In a few minutes, I'll get to that. So all of this is kind of in this topic for me. But with regard to your own power over your own body, I love Joe Dispenza's work. He has a book called Becoming Supernatural. The concept, really, just to summarize it, I love this book and I highly recommend it. It's amazing kind of accounts of people that have taken his courses and done that work. But essentially, what I get from it is that what you're doing within his work and his meditations is connecting to your soul, the soul part of you. And no one's doing this for you. This is you doing, all of this stuff it's all you. You don't need a healer, really. You can be your own. And his work illustrates this beautifully, although he does have people that focus on energy healing for the community or whoever needs it. And that's, so it does work, right? You can be someone else's healer, of course. But my favorite part is that you can do this stuff within your own meditations. But when you're connecting to your soul in this way, you're almost, his point is that you're almost like dissociating yourself on a regular basis as a practice with your physical being. So, we're always in this idea of like, this is me, this is it, my physical body, and there's all this shit wrong with it. And how do I fix it? And we just focus there. And his point, what I love is that when you get connected to your soul, you literally feel it. There is an awareness that you are more than your physical body. And in that is all of your power. And it's that same feeling I had when I came out of my body after yoga. I'm still there, but I'm not my body. I'm consciousness. I'm just hanging out above my body. I mean, that is what occurred. And in that, I felt so free from everything that my body held, all the emotions, all the stress of, my life, any human feeling. I had left all that in the body. And so, that I love that about his work, is he's really, in the simplest sense, kind of having you connect to your soul. But since your soul is connected to all that is, you get that really freeing feeling. And this kind of practice can then align your physical body on a cellular level to align it to your soul, align it to those higher vibrations. And this is also the feeling I get when I go into channels. So I think this is all related when you tune into those higher realms, higher vibrations of the non-physical world. And, I also believe that this is essentially the effect of, like my channeled sessions, my private sessions, for example. You're just being guided to that connection within yourself through me connecting with you, right? So really, really amazing stuff, and highly recommend Joe Dispenza's work. He's just been doing it for a long time, and he has a lot of science behind what he does too, which makes it, really, you get to learn about what is your brain doing, what state are your brain waves in when all of this is occurring. He has a lot of really interesting he brings it home in a very academic way, which of course I love. So again, the reason this is one of my favorite topics is because of the connection of the physical body to our entire being. And I just find this fascinating. And I believe it is absolutely integral to any level of spiritual evolution. And we're all on a different, little bit different level of that, right? And one of the really big things that came in as I was creating this episode is how many times Hadden has pointed out to me in so many channeled messages that your body is a vessel. She said that over and over and over and over until I got it. um, and in this way, it has to come along with you. It has to. Uh, and for me, it's vital. Your body is vital to communicating and living on the soul level. And in these higher dimensions of consciousness, where kids like Hadden are hanging out. And the more I've embodied this stuff, it's really opened up more. I realize like that's where these kids are most accessible. That's part this connection. You know, you really need to bring your physical body with you, and it makes that connection easier, right? If you're super stressed out and your brain is all over the place, like you're not going to be able to connect with kids like Hadden. They're not there with you. It's just kind of the easiest example I can give you. So another really amazing thing that happened when I was writing this, I asked Hadden, and I've always wondered this, what, you know, I asked, like, how does she feel about me doing things that she can't? I've always felt like when I'm doing Pilates or yoga, I'm like, how do I almost wanted to I almost like got certified to be a Pilates instructor because I loved it. I love it so much. And then I was thinking, oh, I could create Pilates for disabled kids. And then Hadden got a spine surgery and can't move her spine. And so like, you're like, well, that's like the whole point of Pilates. She couldn't do as much bending. And I really had to come to this point of accepting that there were things that I do that, you know, she could only do certain versions of, or that she can't do at all. And that was always a really sticky point for me. And, you know, there are things she can do. She gets massages. She's been in a kayak. She's ridden horses until she had her spine surgery. But for the most part, there are so many things I enjoy that she can't do. And that is just a reality of our life and her life. So what did she say when I asked her, you know, how do you feel about me getting to do these things that you can't? And instantly, I mean, she literally laughed. This is me tuning into her telepathically. This came in telepathically. It was an instant answer. I heard her laugh. I mean, it was like, she just was like laughing at me. And she said, are you kidding me? Your physical ability is one of the biggest reasons I chose you. And she's laughing. And I'm like, wow, that was so simple. I could have asked that. I wish I would have asked that years ago. And this really illustrates how telepathic communication works for me with her as well. And how easily those questions get answered. That's like amazing to me. I waited years to ask that question, and the answer came immediately. So that is something that I would love to teach you if, you know, you'd like to tune into that part of your loved one, that connection where those answers lie for you and for them. It's all there. And it's under my private sessions on my website. And I've named it Soul Speak. So I think it a fun name. I think it deserves a name. So let me know if you have questions about that. Email me, send me a message. I'm happy to go into that further with you. So another point being, it's so interesting to me that kids like Hadden are the ones that are giving us this opportunity to be physically healthier ourselves in order to care for them. It's like in order to step up and do this job, we had this amazing opportunity to be healthier ourselves. And I think that's such a gift of this experience of being her mom. And it's like part of the deal we made, right? Like you you help me through life, and you will have amazing health and vitality as a byproduct. It's like, thanks, Hadden. And this also shows how differently the higher perspective focuses on the value of the physical body. These kids aren't able to do anything, but at the same time, in their limitation, they give us this opportunity to be always really healthy. And it's like they open up that opportunity for us. It's like, it's amazing when you look at this stuff from the higher perspective, how beautiful some of it is, right? And that's been my experience, and why I think it's so important to share my journey with you. So here's my final word on all of this before I close with the channeled message from Hadden. Our bodies are always going to be there for us. And with love and appreciation, they can be used for fun, for competition, for exploring this beautiful planet Earth for as long as we want. Anything you want to do with your body, it is along for the ride. And I believe that it's part of this whole spiritual evolution. And as our consciousness evolves, so does our body. So it is regenerating constantly. And you literally aren't the same person you were even a month ago on a cellular level. But the physical body, remember, it's, the last thing to respond to higher vibrations. So if you're doing any of these practices, give it whatever time it needs to catch up, and love it, love it, love it. Like it's the only body that you've got. And if you'd like to experience a channeled session with me, these are highly energetic transmissions, and you can connect with that level of consciousness with some guidance, and those you can schedule on my website as well, erincameron.org. Okay, so now we're going to read the channeled message that I got from her February of 2024, this year. So just before I started the podcast. And just before I get into this, there's some background I want to give you on the word God, because it comes up in this, it's said in this message a lot. And for whatever reason, during my channeled messages, that's a word that comes through, even though I'm not religious, never have been. Just know that this is, you can replace that word with any word that works for you. Higher power, source, love, the universe, source energy, you, light, whatever word works for you, you can throw it in there if God doesn't resonate, because I get that, and had that for many years, that it would kind of trigger this, well, I don't really, what's God, like that. So that's just the background I want to give to you. So, okay, are you ready for Hadden's message? She says, you are so connected to your physical body. Remember that. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to give you a little bit more background on this particular message. What I did, sorry, Hadden, to cut you off, is I actually asked her to help me with something that was a pain that I was having in my body. So I had never channeled my body before, but I had channeled Hadden and tuned into her like 100 times. So I was like, well, let me just ask Hadden what's going on with my body. So it was my way of getting to my body. And so what she does is then tune into my body, and then she comes back in the message. So you'll get that. And to me, it's really amazing how this connected so many things for me. Okay, so she says, you are connected. You are so connected to your physical body. Remember that. Remember that you came here to experience that connection, and that it is one that you have special skills with. It is one of your special areas. It is not by accident that you value that connection. So let's bring in your body today. Bring in its consciousness. Allow it to speak to you through me. Open to your love for your body. As you open to this love, it will communicate with you. Let's see what your body has to tell you today. And so now this is my body speaking. I have been waiting so patiently for your unconditional love. It is this unconditional love that I am guiding you to, guiding you into. You have come so far in loving me and loving yourself. So far. But it is time to come into absolute unconditional love for me, the vessel for your greatness, the vessel you created out of pure love, the vessel that has carried you from infancy until now. I have changed with you. I am a reflection of you. We have evolved together. I cannot evolve without you, and you cannot evolve without me. So it is not just about picturing me or yourself in perfect health. You're not dreaming that. It is knowing that your truth, my truth, your body's truth, is that it is divinely perfect. Align with me in the moment. Align with me and feel the power of your unconditional love, of God's love. God's love is your love. Feel that for your body. Feel that in every cell of your body in this moment. In this moment, you are feeling infinite love for your body, the deepest appreciation for it carrying you through this life, for its beauty, for its precise ability to perform miracles. Holding you is a miracle. You are a miracle. Love with God's love every cell of your body as it carries you through this life. And know that every cell of your body is made up of God's love. So in loving every cell of your body, you are consciously aligning yourself with the truth of you, which is that you are made up of God's love. It is what you are. Pure, unconditional love. Unconditional, meaning there is nothing you ever did, are doing, or could ever do for this to not be your truth. It is always your truth. It is always here for you. I am guiding you to align to that truth, that you are love. You are God. Unconditional, without requirement from you or of you. Only that you be here now and allow your own love to flow through you. Your body wants to be heard. It wants to be listened to. Sometimes you try to correct how you're feeling, and your body wants you to know that how it feels is a reflection that is there for you, guiding you. And instead of correcting, dealing with, covering up, listen, accept the perfection of it all. Accept that however you are feeling in your body is perfect. There is nothing wrong, ever. No requirement to feel a certain way, ever. You are not being judged by anyone but you. So drop that judgment. Let it go. We know it is not your intention to hold it. Let it go. There is always a valid reason for how you feel, even if you're not aware of it or what it might be. That's okay. Know that it's all perfect. You're perfect. Know your perfection. Don't dream about it, think about it, know it. Know your body is perfect, just as it is, in this moment, in every moment. Perfectly healthy, loved and appreciated, important, valuable. A vessel of God. A vessel for God's work. A vessel of God's work. And this is Hadden now. And so is mine. So is my body. A vessel of God. A vessel of God's work. A vessel for God's work. I was created with a purpose, with beauty, with divine intention, and every single cell of my body is divine work. The work of God went into every cell of my body. Every strand of my DNA was touched by God and is God. I am an expression of God. And how I was designed, the intricacies have purpose. I am unique. My soul chose this path not because it is difficult. It is not difficult for me. It is joyful. It is fun. It is full of love. It is beautiful. Because I, even my human, am aligned vibrationally to those perspectives. And my physical body, as yours, carries me through my experience of this life. Mine is as unique as yours, as beautiful as yours, as special as yours. And then we come together and we play, each from our unique perspectives. And it is even more beautiful and more fun and more full of love and joy. And that is exactly how we wanted it. And remember, it could not feel this way if I had chosen a normal path. The experience would be different. My body, as your body, is a unique and important part of my soul's experience of being a human, of being here. Feel the truth in my words. Feel the energy behind them. They are from my soul. I came from my soul. I am perfect. There were and are no mistakes that were made or are being made. It is all unfolding in divine order. No mistakes. Almost to the point of we don't need to have that word in this discussion. Replace it. Replace it with another word. Divinity. God. Soul essence. Your soul knows this truth. Your human is on a journey. Your human sees this journey as one of seeing with your own body. Seeing your own body. The flaws of your own body, your own physical vessel, and then projecting that onto my human. Do you feel the difference? Do you feel that vibration? But now you're ready to realign what you know and what you've always known, to realign your own truth, your own perfection. To know yourself as God is to know me as God. And this is the next level. One is not better than the other. It's the journey you're on, the path you have chosen, the beautiful life that we chose together. Isn't it amazing? Just got full body chills at the end of that. So that's Hadden and my body, and then Hadden again. Thank you. That's all I have for today. Thank you for joining me. If you found this episode helpful, even if you found yourself here for the first time and think it would help someone else, like it, share it, follow me, so that it can reach more people that might find it useful or inspiring. So thank you all again. And until the next episode, I'm sending you so much love. Take care.